Hello and welcome to the Milner Brothers Show. As you see, we have a special guest with us today, Wesley Burcham.
Hey,
Wesley, tell our viewers a little bit about yourself.
Well, hi, I'm Wesley. I live in Tupelo and I like movies and sports.
That's Wesley Burcham for you. He's going to help debate a few new topics we have today. Today's episode, we're going to focus on many different topics. Our first episode, we did movies. This one's going to have many different genres, and we're going to do a top 3 of each genre, solely based on the last 5 years, between 2010 to 2015. Our first topic is going to be the top 3 movies that each of us have done. Remember, it's the last 5 years. Each one of us have an honorable mention to start. We'll start with Wesley, your honorable mention.
Oh, well, I feel honored to get my honorable mention in first. You see what I did there? All right, so yeah, my honorable mention for best movies of the last 5 years is the Lego Movie. You get to see so many characters that have, graced even my childhood, the guy sitting next to me, and even if you're an older person, you can appreciate the characters that this movie brings to life in the form of Legos, and it's an epic story.
Okay. Going off that, my honorable mention would be Toy Story 3. I thought it was absolutely incredible animation, one of Pixar's best films. Makes you feel kind of tear-jerky at the end, and then everything works out, but it's a great movie overall. Phil?
My first honorable mention will be Seven Psychopaths, done by Martin McDonagh, and the same one who did In Bruges, and Seven Psychopaths was a sophomore effort, and it was just, it touched on so many levels. It had Sam Rockwell doing probably the performance of his career, at least that I've seen so far, and it hit your emotions hard, but it was also really funny. It had a lot of action and everything. It was just, overall, it's just a really good movie.
Okay, those were our honorable mentions. Now we're going to get into the actual top 3 list. Wesley, your third best movie of the last 5 years.
My third best movie of the last 5 years is Warrior. It was in 2011. It stars Tom Hardy and Joel Edgerton as two brothers who are sort of approaching this MMA tournament. One brother being ex-military, trying to find his way back and get some money. The other being a struggling MMA fighter fighting, and he's trying to get his name out there in the community. And it's a really, really good movie. I think it's one that not a whole lot of people are just like, man, you want to watch today, Warrior? But it's something that I almost think you have to watch, and it's something that anyone can appreciate, really.
I appreciate Warrior. I thought it was a very good film.
Yeah.
My third best movie of the last 5 years is We Bought a Zoo. You finally get to see Matt Damon come back after he did the Bourne series and was action, and he gets back into that dramatic type role that he had with Good Will Hunting. He's a father who's got 2 kids and lost his wife. He's trying to make it through life and give them a better one, and he stumbles upon a house that he likes, and it just happens to be a zoo, and it's got a tear-jerking story and a lot of memorable quotes from it. I absolutely love that movie.
All right, my third best movie of this new decade we have going is The Cabin in the Woods. Pretty much came in and just with all the terrible horror movies that have come out really since the early 2000s, you haven't really seen any good ones, and The Cabin in the Woods just came and turned everything on its head, and it's probably the only good horror movie in the last 15 years, so yeah.
All right, Wesley, you're second.
My number 2 movie in the last 5 years is Django Unchained, with Jamie Foxx, Leonardo DiCaprio, Christoph Waltz. That's a movie everyone I'm sure that's watching this knows. I don't have to tell you anything about the story, and it's one of my favorite Tarantino films, and I think any list about this decade so far would be incomplete without at least one Tarantino mention.
I like Django Unchained. It's his best since Pulp Fiction in my mind. My number 2 of the last 5 years is The Avengers. I didn't really follow Marvel as a kid, and now they brought in this Marvel Cinematic Universe, and they brought them all together, and overall it was a very good story. Joss Whedon did an excellent job directing the film. You got to see all your favorite superheroes in one movie. it rocked it all.
Okay, let's try and bring it back here. My number 2 movie of this new decade is Toy Story 3. It is far and away the best Pixar movie, the best Toy Story movie, the best animated movie. It touches on so many levels, and it's so far ahead. It really doesn't feel like it should be an animated movie with some of the feelings that it brings out. It's just it's really somewhere else when it comes to animation movies. So yeah, it's my number 2.
All right, your best movie the last 5 years, Wesley.
My best movie of the last 5 years came out in 2010, and it's a little doodad called Tucker and Dale vs. Evil. It is my personal favorite movie. It's really just, it's sort of in its own right, a general spoof, I guess, where, you have these typical hillbillies who look like they're straight out of a horror movie to some college kids that are coming to chill at a lake, and they're kind of paranoid about the whole thing. And whenever you see these college kids try to take it too far and trying to get rid of these evil hillbillies who kidnap their friend, quote unquote, I'll let you see the rest of the movie. But it really was a fantastic movie that I enjoy every single time I watch it.
I applaud that selection.
I do. Very good movie. Need to see it. My number 1 is The Cabin in the Woods. Phil mentioned it earlier. It's probably my favorite movie of the last 10 years. Going back to The Prestige off the top of my head, it was just, it was great all around. Whenever Josh Whedon is part of a project, you know it's going to be good. In my mind, it completely turned the horror genre back around for me. Had everything that you needed in it. Cabin in the Woods, best movie of the last 5 years.
All right, the best movie of the last 5 years is Let Me In. And it's kind of an American remake of the original Let the Right One In. And it is perfect on every level, from the performances of the kids that they had to just the direction choices. It really is just too good to be true. Whether you want to count it as a horror movie or a drama movie, or some people might foolishly call it a vampire movie, it's just really, really good in every way.
Okay, that was our best movies from the last 5 years. Remember, we're doing from 2010 to 2015. Our next topic is our top 3 television shows of the last 5 years. And we will start with an honorable mention. We'll start with Phil here. Your honorable mention.
Let's see, my honorable mention, I would probably say, I'm going to tie it up. I'm going to say House of Cards and Orange is the New Black. Both as Netflix series. I'd probably throw those 2 as my 2 honorable mentions. Both of them are really, really good, and depending on what you like, probably depends on which one you like better. But whether you wanted to see some just great acting and horror, and not horror, but drama, then House of Cards is for you. And if you want to see some great acting and comedy, or you can call it comedy, just something different, then Orange is the New Black is for you. But both of those are pretty good.
My honorable mention is The Goldbergs. It's in season 2. It's a relatively a new TV series, but you no longer have How I Met Your Mother or The Office. So if you're looking for a good comedy show that's set in the 80s, has good music, has great actors in it, The Goldbergs has a lot of laughs, and that's my honorable mention.
My honorable mention is it's a Netflix original. Actually, it's a cartoon called BoJack Horseman. It has Will Arnett, Aaron Paul, Allison Brie. It's really so fantastic. You see this world where animals are people too, and you see their personalities come out in their characters. And then you see this story of BoJack Horseman, where he goes from vaunted TV character to kind of old, broken down celebrity who's living on his life, and it's just enjoyable from top to bottom.
All right. Phil, your number 3 television series of the last 5 years.
All right, my number 3 television series of the last 5 years is Game of Thrones. It gets you off to a really slow start, but when it picks up, and it kind of keeps you hooked as you go. But yeah, Game of Thrones is I think that's a solid number 3 in the last 5 years.
My number 3 is a show that just recently ended. Only had 3 seasons. It's The Newsroom. It showed you that Jeff Daniels can really act, and you might remember him from Dumb and Dumber. Then you put him in this role, and he surpasses all expectations. He won an Emmy for it, going against other great actors. The Newsroom was done by Aaron Sorkin, who did The West Wing. He did The Social Network. And overall, it's just, if you are inspired to be a journalist or you like watching news programs, I highly suggest you watch The Newsroom. It's fantastic.
All right, and my number 3 is an HBO show by the name of True Detective. You know, a real pillar of the reconnaissance here. I really enjoyed seeing Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson just flesh out every little bit of acting chops that they had. Seeing those two characters develop throughout the season is just absolutely fantastic, and I can't wait for season 2 with Vince Vaughn and Colin Farrell.
Ditto, I can't wait for it either. The second best television series in the last 5 years is American Horror Story. And it's fallen off as of late, but the first 2 seasons, especially the second season, are really just... I feel like if they made a horror museum where they threw all like the great horror movies and things, that American Horror Story would have to have its own special section. And it just gives you so much, gives you something different and unique each time. And even if you're not a fan of some of the things they bring in, normally they can keep you pretty entertained. So yeah.
My second one is Breaking Bad. It did start in 2008, but for me, season 3 to season 5 is where it really kicks off. You get Gus, the really good villain in it. You get a lot of things happening, and Ozymandias from Breaking Bad is the greatest television episode there ever has been. So Breaking Bad, yes, my number 2.
And my number 2 is a Netflix original called Peaky Blinders. It's actually probably my absolute favorite Netflix original. Seeing this story with Cillian Murphy and it's Jurassic Park guy. Sam Neill. Yeah, I'm drawing a blank tonight. It's pretty crazy. But yeah, Sam Neill. Seeing those two come into these characters in post World War I England, and you see all sorts of sort of modern concepts in that time, like seeing, you know, post World War I, like PTSD and things of that nature, and seeing these characters sort of maneuvering their way around, and sort of like a classier version of Sons of Anarchy, which is another great television show. And to me, it's just absolutely fantastic.
I feel your best TV show of the last 5 years.
Breaking Bad. Enough said. We all know it. That's it.
Okay. My best is Game of Thrones. It's, as Phil said earlier, it's got everything you need. Gore, great storyline, nudity, everything that you could possibly need.
Because we need nudity in our TV shows.
Absolutely.
It goes over the top, but it's still... Game of Thrones is the best, and it will continue to be the best for the next 2 to 3 years at least. Wesley?
And I'm 100% on board with Matthew on this. Game of Thrones is my absolute favorite show. I have every single season at home. I can watch it any day, anytime. I can start the whole thing over and get ready to marathon to Sunday whenever this thing comes out again. And I'll just be so deep into it and ready to go again with all these amazing characters, all these deep storylines that you get with every single person that graces the screen. It's fantastic.
Okay, those are our favorite TV shows of the last 5 years. We are now moving on to our top 3 actors of the last 5 years. And I will start off with my honorable mention. My first one would be Christoph Waltz. Django Unchained should be enough there. He rocked it in that performance. He does well in all Quentin Tarantino films, but that's my first honorable mention is Christoph Waltz.
That's really the only, like, unless you want to count Big Eyes or Water for Elephants, that's really the only
Water
movie
for
that
Elephants is an amazing
for the past
movie.
5 years. And you
Water
just
for
called him an
Elephants,
honorable mention.
He would be an honorable mention, yes.
If you can't count a Glorious Bastard, you shouldn't be able to use him.
Well, my honorable mention is Peter Dinklage. And the reason he's my honorable mention is because he is in this one role that is really his calling card for this last 5 years. And that one role is so good that I wanted to put him into the list, but the fact that it was only one role kept him out of it. And that Tyrion Lannister is it's a character that every single person can fall in love with, and it's a character that keeps you on your toes. He's smart, he's intelligent, and he's got the wits, and he's just fun to watch from top to bottom.
Okay, my honorable mention, I would probably join the reconnaissance and say Matthew McConaughey's had a really good couple of years, and I'd probably say he's a pretty solid honorable mention.
Okay, we'll go with my third best for the last 5 years. I'm going Joseph Gordon-Levitt. He's come out with movies Inception, 50-50, The Dark Knight Rises, which wasn't a great film, but that's not because of him. He played his role as good as could be expected. And then Don John, which he directed himself, and
I give him no merit for Don John.
John was a good movie.
He loses points for Don John.
He was good in Don John, and then to cap it off, you had Looper.
Looper was good.
He's had a great career for these last 5 years. He deserves to be on this list. So Joseph Gordon-Levitt, my number 3.
My number 3, he's sort of a cheesy sort of pick because a lot of the movies that I picked him for are just like blockbusters, but it's Benedict Cumberbatch. Love that dude. And one of the big things that really drew me towards putting Benedict on this list is his both having the cinematic experience in movies that I enjoyed, such as Star Trek Into Darkness as Khan, Desolation of Smog as Smog. Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy was really good with a lot of fun British actors and putting together this great story. And then his TV appearances as Sherlock. Sherlock is another one of those great TV shows that was very close to being on the cusp of my honorable mentions and even the list. And his job in all of those facets, from villain to cunning detective, or just give him such a well-rounded thing that I couldn't feel better about putting him on my list.
Not a bad pick. A lot better than Levitt. Let's see. My third, I would have to say Bradley Cooper has had, well, not just to my standards, a good couple of years, but he's been nominated for an Oscar 3 times in a row. And he doesn't seem to have a stereotypical role that you'd expect to see him in. We've seen him in drama, we've seen him in comedy, we've seen him in war. Voiceovers for Guardians of the Galaxy, he's had a pretty solid couple of years. So Bradley Cooper is my number 3 there.
My number 2, and it'll get a chuckle from my 2 co-hosts here, but I'm going with Ben Affleck. Just to start off, we're talking about a guy who fell off the map after movies like Geely and Daredevil, and he was
Gigi or Gigi Giggly,
whatever it's called.
It was
Giggly, whatever. He had a rough time through the 2000s, and then he comes out with The Town. He directed it, phenomenal movie. Then he gets snubbed from the Oscars for Argo.
2009.
He got snubbed for it?
No, The Town 2010. I've looked it up.
He didn't get snubbed for Argo.
He got snubbed for Best Director.
Yeah, he didn't
from
get
the
nominated
Oscars.
for Director.
Really?
Snubbed for Argo for Best Director, not the film. And then he comes in and does Gone Girl, does a phenomenal job in Gone Girl. He's going to be the new Batman. We'll see how he does there, but I think he's had a solid last 5 years.
Ben Affleck's never been a fantastic actor. Now, he is a great filmmaker, and a couple more movies, and he might even be a great filmmaker, but
look at the movies like The Town and Argo. He deserves to be on this list.
He directed those movies.
Exactly.
But this is Best Actors.
He was in those movies too. To direct those movies and to act in those movies, he did a phenomenal job.
Oh, well, if you want to throw directing and acting, we could throw Woody Allen in all of these. Just saying. Just throwing it out there for thinking.
We'll let you decide.
Yeesh. Well, I'm going to go with my second one and hope it doesn't get, kind of hated on. But my second guy is Tom Hardy. He's a guy that I've just been in love with forever. I love watching all of his work. Maybe except that spy movie with Chris Pine or whatever. But
Inception.
Hey, Inception's actually one of the reasons that I put him up here. Inception's a fantastic movie in my mind. I mean, it's a little bit of a thinker, but whenever you get into the actual deepness of what that movie is, and getting inside these people's minds, and even further into this sort of even sci-fi-ish realm, I love Inception.
So Tom Hardy.
Yeah, but back to Tom Hardy. So you started the whole Inception thing. But yeah, Inception, Warrior, Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy again, and Lawless. I loved Lawless. His character in Lawless was a complete and total badass. I just loved every minute of it. And then to top it all off, he also made a nice little appearance in my second favorite show, Peaky Blinders. And yeah, I just absolutely love Tom Hardy. He's the man in my eyes.
All right, my number 2, and I am stepping off on a branch here, but I'm going to go with Miles Teller. And I'm going to go with Miles Teller for the reasons of this. Now, I know he hasn't been in much since really at all, but the movies that he has been in, The Spectacular Now, not the greatest movie, but a really good performance from Miles Teller. If you want to throw Divergent in there, he's actually got a juicy role in Divergent and even Insurgent. But his role in Whiplash alone, when he's sharing screen time with the great J.K. Simmons, and J.K. Simmons is doing this fantastic job, but Miles Teller, I believe, really stole Whiplash from Simmons, and he just did a great job in that movie. And for that movie alone, I think he deserves to be on this list, because there's not a lot of fantastic actors that have really shown what they can do in the last 5 years anyway. So, yeah. I'm going to go Miles Teller as my number 2.
Okay. My number 1 overall is Leonardo DiCaprio. When are you going to give the guy an Oscar? He's come out with movies like Inception that Wes and I like and Phil hates. Shutter Island, which was a phenomenal film. The Wolf of Wall Street. He was incredible in The Wolf of Wall Street.
Not better than McConaughey.
He was incredible in The Wolf of Wall Street. He's overall my favorite actor overall, and of the last 5 years, I think he has done more than his fair share to be number 1 on my list, at least.
Well, following up DiCaprio, I'm, of course, this is the absolute top answer for me, and it's Matthew McConaughey. The McConaissance, I'm a huge fan. I'm all in it. He's got me all in on what he's doing in the future with his performances in Dallas Buyers Club. It tugs on the heartstrings. I'm not a guy to get emotional during movies, but at the end of that movie, I was in. I was ready to step up next to McConaughey and fight. And then you have, with some it doesn't get great reviews. With others, people loved it to death. He was in Interstellar. Phil hates that one. He doesn't like it either. But he was in it, and it, it's still, something that he can be a part of, that can say, hey, this is something that happened in the last 5 years. Then you have Mud, which isn't a bad film. I enjoyed it, at least.
Mud was good.
And then you wrap it all up with his performance in True Detective, which absolutely should have won the Emmy for Best Actor if they weren't, tugging around with Breaking Bad for the extra awards session just to give them the swan song that they already had.
Matthew McConaughey did good. I have no problem with that award going to Bryan Cranston.
Yeah.
Well, I feel in that situation that Breaking Bad had its time. It had its moment, and to bring out the second, and when you get 2 awards for the same season, essentially, that's going to go on the same DVD set, then I don't feel good about it. I feel like True Detective truly deserved those awards.
If it would have gone in Best Miniseries like it should have, then it would have been fine. It would have won Best Actor. Probably wouldn't have won Best Miniseries over Fargo, but it would have won Best Actor. But they tried to get cheeky with it and send it to drama, and it got shut out. They shouldn't have done that.
And you can enjoy Matthew McConaughey coming up in Magic Mike XL.
There we go. That's
Academy Award-winning actor right there.
That is an Oscar player right there.
And Phil, you're number 1.
My number 1 is Ethan Hawke, and it is Ethan Hawke. I'm basing it kind of like on 2 movies here, but his Before Midnight performance is fantastic, and Before Midnight as a movie is a writing masterpiece. And then his performance in Boyhood, in which he's clearly the best actor in the movie. And he has a, I don't know, he seems to be hitting that point in his career where he's doing good things and knowing what he's capable of. And I don't know, he's doing really solid right now.
He did really solid in Sinister, didn't he?
Sinister? Well, if we're talking about 2010 and up, then we probably wouldn't want to talk about Sinister.
Sinister was done the last 5 years.
Sinister was done like 2006.
No.
Yeah.
No.
It's the truth.
No, it's not.
I promise it's the truth.
It is not the truth.
Anyway, continue.
Anyway.
Let's face it. Sinister actually got really relatively good reviews anyway. So hush. Go.
Alright, now we move on to our top
Actresses.
3 actresses of the last 5 years. And we will start with our special guest, Wesley Burchell.
Yeah.
Your honorable mention.
My especially special honorable mention is Brie Larson. Love me some Brie Larson.
That's a good choice.
Yes, absolutely. And this choice was mainly for her performance in Short Term 12, which Phil, I have to thank for showing me that film. It is absolutely fantastic. It's so real. Everything's just so visceral about it that it's impossible not to give it at least some nod during this entire stretch. And Brie Larson is, a beautiful, beautiful woman who can act her ass off.
Phil, your honorable mention for
All right.
actress of the last 5 years.
You know what? I can get all the flack for this I want, but I have a soft spot for Chloe Grace Moretz. And I feel like you can put her in anything, and she's a trooper, and she'll do it.
Yeah.
I've seen her do a couple of different things, whether you want to see her do the vulnerable horror character like Carrie, or if you want to see her do like the comedy against the grain character, like Hit Girl. And but most impressively, of course, she was in Let Me In, where she does a fantastic job at playing a character that even 5 years after the movie has come out, you're still not quite sure what her real motives were. And just, I think that she's done great. So that's my honorable mention.
That was actually my honorable mention as well. Chloe Grace Moretz. I like her in everything she's in and everything that Phil said. So that's my honorable mention. Number 3 for you, Wesley.
Number 3 for Wesley on favorite actresses is sort of a generic pick in today's age, but I love me some Emma Stone. I love her smoker voice and her performances and things like The Amazing Spider-Man as Gwen Stacy, Crazy Stupid Love, The Help. Her performances in those, she brings her acting along with her in every single film she does, and Easy A, of course. Can't forget that one, but I love me some Emma Stone, yeah.
Phil?
My number 3 is Jennifer Lawrence. She has, let's face it, she's had a great couple of years. I think that she needs to quit the Hunger Games. But
There's only one left.
yeah. But 2 Academy Award nominations in a row. She should have won 2 in a row. She's obviously got that talent there. She even shows it off in things like X-Men, and she's had a good couple of years.
My 3rd is Shailene Woodley. Another girl who's just up and coming in the last 5 years. She did The Spectacular Now with Miles Teller, and she's doing the Insurgent series, which isn't that great, but doesn't affect her personally. She's really good. She shows that off in The Fault in Our Stars that she's great in. So yeah, I like Shailene Woodley.
Oh, so
he just talked about Shailene Woodley without talking about The Descendants. That was like her first thing, and she was great in that. And
I thought I would get flagged since
she was even
2009, but going into the 2010 Oscar,
she was even nominated. She was even nominated for Descendants was 2011. She was even nominated for Best Supporting Actress. Just throwing that out there. She was great in that.
all right, so time for my number 2. I picked Alison Brie. She is by far my favorite TV actress. With performances in Community, where she's fantastic and a great cast of characters. Mad Men, limited time, but with as Pete Campbell's wife, the time that she is in there when things get rolling, she really shows her diversity really as an actress. And then, she gets to do fun stuff like the Lego movie where she's a Princess Kitty thingy, and that really was just such a fun time, and she was a part of it, so I threw her up as my number 2.
I like that pick. Other than Joan McHale, she's the only reason to watch Community.
All right, well, my number 1 is...
I'm 2? You're skipping all sorts of stuff.
Oh, mine 2.
Number 2.
Number 2.
Was that first prison or last?
Or second.
Second. Oh, okay. Anyway, my number 2 is Jessica Chastain. I feel like we didn't even hear about Jessica Chastain until it got here into the new decade with The Help, Zero Dark 30, the disappearance of Eleanor Rigby here recently.
And
Huh?
Phil's favorite movie, Interstellar.
She was in that.
He
It was
knows.
so bad I really can't remember anything about it. All the actors need that one movie where they can just make an excuse, and Interstellar just needs to be buried at the bottom of the ocean. But here recently, she's kind of fallen off for me because of all of her Hollywood needs to be equal women's blah blah blah, and which case doesn't hold any water, and she's just getting annoying at this point. But she still had some really good performances. So
My number 2 is Jennifer Lawrence. Already said it. It's American Hustle. It's Silver Linings Playbook that she was nominated for. She's got more movies that I'm sure she'll be nominated for later. She can be in bad movies like House at the End of the Street and still look good in it. X-Men First Class, she brought a something new to the character Mystique, which she wasn't popular in the early X-Men franchise, and all of a sudden now Jennifer Lawrence plays her. Everybody's in love with the character Mystique, so yeah, she can turn a franchise around.
And now it's up to my number 1, and my number 1 is America's Sweetheart, Jennifer Lawrence. Absolutely love me some J-Law. She is really fantastic, and as Matt said, you can see her acting ability and her ability to, whenever they made this new, deeper Mystique character, Jennifer Lawrence didn't flinch. She was ready to go, and she made a great character that is lovable and fun to watch, and she has this actual depth and an actual story that you're like, well, man, I can really relate with this evil thing down the road. And then, she's in the Hunger Games. It's popular. It's fun. It's whatever. And yeah, I love me some Jennifer Lawrence.
Phil, number 1 actress of the last 5 years.
Emma Stone.
I'm just gonna jump in there with him and say it's Emma Stone as well. Most beautiful actress in Hollywood for me. Her movies are great. She's great in all of them. Overall, just Emma Stone. And now we will move on to our top 3 songs of the last 5 years, and we didn't put. We throw any song in here. It'd be pop, it could be rap, it could be country. There's no limit on it, so I'm sure you're going to hear a variation of many different songs and a lot of argument, but we will start with Phil. Your honorable mention for top song of the last 5 years.
Well, Loving You Is Fun by Eastern Corbin. I'm not a big music person, so I'm just going to say my answers.
Thank you, Phil. I honestly, I would say it's Carry On from Fun.
Fun is awful.
Fun
It's
has
awful.
bad moments, but Carry On is a very good song. I like it. It's worth my honorable mention. Wes.
My honorable mention is something that neither of these guys have ever heard, and it's just a fun time for me because I get to be musical. I love, for my honorable mention, is The Worst Guys by Childish Gambino featuring Chance the Rapper.
That's all we need.
Yeah, it's a fun song. It gets me vibing, and it's always a good time.
Does that song get you vibing?
Keep in mind that Phil wanted to replace me with Wes last week.
Well, we were talking about music last week.
Phil,
Quite
your
frankly,
number 3 song of the last 5 years.
not a place for music here.
Diversity is
Number 3.
totally
My number 3 song in the last 5 years is I guess I got 3 that sit pretty close to top. I'm just gonna say Budapest by George Ezra.
Okay.
Yeah.
My number 3 of the last 5 years is Loving You Is Fun. I'd love to know where Phil got it for an honorable mention.
It is sitting right here, so holla.
Yes. It's hands down the best country song that's come out in the last 5 years, easily.
Country is the devil. Don't listen to
It
it.
is not the devil.
You just said a rap song. How dare you?
Rap.
Easton Corbin's Loving You Is Fun. My number 3. Wes,
All right.
entertain us with yours.
Number 3 is All Your Fault by Big Sean
That's all we
featuring
need.
Kanye West.
That's all we need.
Combining 2 of the greatest hip-hop faces right now in those two gentlemen, and they really throw together some fire. They share bars. Both of their verses are absolutely strong, and just because these guys won't give it a listen doesn't mean it's not good.
Both
Ladies
their
and gentlemen,
verses are strong.
I apologize. I know you never thought you would hear Kanye West in a Milner Brothers show, but
That's why I should be on every week. Hashtag Wesley Bertram Show featuring the Milner Brothers. Make it happen.
Number 2.
If you haven't skipped to the next category already, I recommend now is the time to do it. We've had 2 rap songs dropped in the best songs since 2010.
And they are fantastic songs, no matter what these two say with their country listening hobo stuff.
My number 2 is Same Love by Macklemore.
That is my number 2 as well. I don't know why Wes is laughing. It's a real song. It's
a rap song that actually does what rap is supposed to do.
Meaning to it.
Yeah.
And
okay.
Same Love, our number 2. Wesley.
Rap is stupid. Let's name a rap song as our number 2.
Oh no, your rap is stupid.
Okay, anyways, on to number 2. I'm Not the Only One by Sam Smith.
Now that's a good one.
I enjoy that
That's
song.
a good one.
Yeah.
There we go.
Shut up. Okay, I'm in this. It's my time to shine.
Alright, that's all we need.
Alright. And so, yeah, in a time where music is dominated by electric sounds and
By rap featuring Kanye West and Big Sean.
fantastic rap that has actual lyrics and you can listen to it and actually glean something, yeah. I don't pick...
Big Sean and Kanye... Okay.
You have never listened to Big Sean.
And there's a
You
reason
cannot
for that.
form a singular opinion about him. He's the best rapper in the game.
All right, we will let you
Anyways,
at home
back
be the
to
judge.
what I'm talking about. In a time dominated by electric sound and auto-tune and all this crap, you have a real voice in Sam Smith. You have someone who can truly sing, has the pipes, and actually has music in what he does. And it's sort of almost a throwback. And really, it's something that I think touches everyone.
I feel your number 1 song in the last 5 years.
Mirrors, Justin Timberlake.
And that is mine as well. Mirrors, Justin Timberlake.
My number 1 song is Mortal Man by Kendrick Lamar.
And that is our top 5 songs.
Hey,
3 songs.
listen to why, though. Mortal Man is actually true. It is actually true.
Everyone's currently fast forwarding to the
Yeah,
video right
whatever. Mortal Man, it actually does have a message. The whole point of To Pimp a Butterfly, which Kendrick Lamar just dropped, and is considered the best rap album of this decade so far.
now. Not saying much.
It should, because it's actual lyricism and it actually has a message. Maybe if you gave it a try and have
That's
it
what Same Love is, and you laughed at that.
Well, I laughed at it because you guys were talking down on rap and then you chose rap. Like, that's why I laughed.
First of all, Same Love
But
does have
now
a little bit of
back to
non-rap
what I
in
was
there.
saying, Kendrick Lamar in this album, it really boils down to the song, where it's, why are you hating on your brother? Why are you hating on this man just because he's a different skin color than you? Why... Okay, thanks for laughing. But why does this have to exist? And even inside your own race, why do I hate you just because you're wearing different clothes than me? That's the message that you're trying to get from this. And then at the end of the song, he brings Tupac back from the dead and has a conversation with him, a real conversation that has a real message. And it's something that happened 20 years ago, but it still has a message that's here today and is applicable to everything that's still going on. And that's why Mortal Man's the number 1 song of the half decade.
All right.
Wave my arms like this so I know it's okay to stop fast forwarding. Okay.
And we will always, as always, you guys will be the judge. Let us know. Okay, this is a cut and fun here.
Matt. Wesley.
All right, here we go.
That's so mature.
Okay, and now we will move on to our top 3 sports moments of the last 5 years. And I will start. I have really no honorable mention for this. I didn't really look for one.
How dare you?
So you're just starting with number 3?
I have an
Or
honorable
you just
mention.
spit one out?
I'll spit one out and I'll say the United States beating Ghana with that last-second goal. I'm not huge on soccer, but when it comes to World Cup and USA, I actually watch. That was a great sports moment, especially for the United States. That would be my honorable mention. Wesley?
My honorable mention is the Chicago Cubs hiring Joe Madden. For those of you who know me, you know that I'm a huge Cubs fan. And the reason that this is an honorable mention for the top sports moments is with a franchise that hasn't had hope in 110 years outside of like a couple years here and there, the hiring of Joe Madden is actually bringing hope to the city. It's bringing hope to this franchise. It's bringing hope to fans. And really, I can't remember the last time that happened with a hire.
When Chicago Bears hired Mark Trestman.
Good joke.
Now he plays for my team.
Phil, your honorable mention for sports moments of the last 5 years.
Joe Flacco signing a $120 million contract, which made him the highest paid player in sports history, well, NFL history, for like 4 weeks until they signed Aaron Rodgers. But I don't know. It's cool that the Ravens finally got that franchise quarterback signed and everything like that. So that was pretty cool.
Okay.
Honorable mention.
For me, sports moments don't always have to be the greatest moments. So my number 3 is the Hail Mary. It was a moment that was talked about on for weeks, even months later. It got rid of the replacement refs, brought back the regular refs, even though the regular refs are still just as bad. But the Hail Mary was the worst call that I had seen, the worst call by referees. Now, the worst play call I'd ever seen was that Seattle Seahawks debacle on the 1 yard line. But the Hail Mary is my number 3 sports moment, just with everything it entailed.
My number 3 sports moment is Bubba Watson at Amen Corner. Whenever people saw Bubba Watson in this hole behind the tree, nobody thought he'd be able to bend it around and get it on the green. And whenever he made that next to impossible shot, that just shows you that anything's possible in sports. And it's just cool that it was Bubba Watson, my favorite golfer.
All right, Phil, your number 3?
My number 3 is what I like to call He Didn't Run It, which I think is one of the greatest sports moments of all time. Because for everyone who hates the Seahawks, as I do, it was really, really great to watch them choke that game away. So after that like stupid catch that the Seahawks guy made, like they should never even have been down there. But it was only justice that happens, and it was really just it was a satisfying moment.
I'm still not over it. I still don't understand how they didn't run it. But my number 2 sports moment of all time is the Boston Bruins in 2013 in Game 7 against Toronto Maple Leafs. They were down 4-1. Scored 3 goals in the last 5 minutes to tie the game, and then scored the game-winning goal in overtime to move on to the next series. It was unbelievable to watch. I was jumping off my couch, and Jamie was recording me doing it. It was something that you just don't see every day. It was one of the greatest sports moments I've had in the last 5 years.
My number... Where are number 2?
Yeah, number 2.
My number 2 sports moment is Stuart Scott's ESPY speech.
Great one.
Yeah,
Great one.
I told you guys were going to get a little taste of what real sports moments are all about. Stuart Scott's ESPY speech is something I will personally remember for the rest of my life. You know, when, you just get up every single day and in Stuart's word, you just kick your problems' asses. You get out there, you put your nose down, you don't care what's bogging you down. You're going out there to become a better person. You're going out there to work your hardest, and that's something that, just never letting something beat you. And that's why I think it's one of the greatest sports moments, is that inspirational message that touches everyone across the entire sports community.
My second greatest sports moment happens right after the He Didn't Run It, to where Richard Sherman go from the biggest smile you could possibly have on one's face to immediate tears. And for all of the people who hate the Seahawks, as I do, and hate Richard Sherman as I do, it was so satisfying to watch that stupid, cocky smirk rubbed off his face, and he just immediately started crying, and it was fantastic. It was a moment of bliss for all of us and sports fans everywhere. Because I still stay today with complete honesty that if you are a sports fan, then you do not respect Richard Sherman. And I say that to Seahawks fans who might be watching. Continue.
All right, my number one sports moment of the last 5 years, which just made the cut, I made sure. Our father is a huge Saints fan, and we really wanted them to win. Tracy Porter's pick six in the Super Bowl had us leaping off the couch, yelling, screaming. That moment that must overcome him, and I know it overcame me. That is the greatest sports moment that's happened in the last 5 years.
Super Bowl or Super Bowl? Or Super Bow?
Super Bowl.
Super Bow.
There's a typo on Matt's computer for those watching at home.
Yeah.
Super Bow. It's
Super
the
Bowl.
Super Bow.
But Tracy
All right.
Porter's pick six in the Super Bowl.
My number one sports moment, although it's for a team that everyone in America absolutely loathes, it's Mariano Rivera's last game at Yankee Stadium.
That's a good one.
I wanted to put that on.
That's a good one.
Yeah,
That would be my new honorable mention. Is that?
Yeah, whenever it got down to his last pitches, he gets called out, and instead of the pitching coaches running up, it's Andy Pettitte and Derek Jeter, his two people that he grew with as a player for the entire time. They were all together in New York, and whenever they went up to the mound and they called him off, and they all went to go sit down together. It was truly something touching seeing that sort of camaraderie last all those years, and that's something that you may never see in sports again, honestly.
All right. You do number one?
Yes. And I can't believe it missed everything on these two's list. Especially considering you, who was at Buffalo Wild Wings with me and experienced that moment.
Oh boy.
Where even the cooks came out of the kitchen and finished the game.
Oh boy.
Jacoby Jones, touchdown catch. When we went and everybody thought we were done against the Broncos, Jacoby Jones touchdown catch with 15 seconds on the clock to tie up the game and send it to overtime, which eventually sent the Ravens to the Super Bowl. How do you guys forget that moment? Like I said, especially you, when the cooks came out of the kitchen of Buffalo Wild Wings were watching the game. Anyway, that, hands down, is the greatest sports moment probably ever. I put it on par with Derek Mason coming 1 yard short in the Super Bowl. That's how great that moment was. Anyway.
And 2 years later, that man does not play on the team.
Hey, he doesn't deserve to play on the team. He ain't got hands.
All right, now we move on to our top 3 games of the last 5 years, staying with sports here. And Wesley, your honorable mention.
My honorable mention is actually USA versus Belgium in the most recent World Cup. Even though everyone's favorite team came up short, it was really a fantastic game. You get Tim Howard logging an ungodly number of saves, and then on top of that, you have the moment at the end of regulation where Chris Wondolowski is about to hit it in the back of the net for sure, and he misses, and then Belgium throws 2 on us, and Julian Green hits a goal in his first ever World Cup touch. It really was a fantastic game, and it definitely deserves an honorable mention at least.
Phil, your honorable mention.
I'm getting tired of soccer getting talked about on my show.
Oh my gosh.
Let's see, if I had to do an honorable mention, I know I'm going to kind of contradict myself here, but as an honorable mention, for someone who hates the Broncos, as I do, and hates Peyton Manning, as I do, it was glorious to watch him completely choke it away the Super Bowl against the Seahawks. So as an honorable mention, I'll throw that in there as one of the greatest games for me to watch.
All right. I honestly didn't prepare an honorable mention, but I'll go off the top of my head. I'll say when Ole Miss came back to beat BYU in this recent NCAA tournament.
Oh yeah, that was.
I honestly turned it off at halftime. I was doing a baseball game. I had it on the computer. I was like, close that lid. And then I got to hear on the radio of them coming all the way back and winning. So that'll be my honorable mention.
Yeah, that was a really fantastic game. My number 3 for top 3 games in the last 5 years is Indiana upsetting Kentucky a few years back whenever the Anthony Davis-led squad full of absolute NBA talent went into Assembly Hall in Indiana, and it was just a back-and-forth game. It was tough fought, and it went down to Christian Watford hitting an amazing 3 at the buzzer to put Indiana over the top. That game was absolutely bonkers, and it's definitely one that will stand the test of time.
Phil?
All right. My number 3, and this is the sole reason that you can put soccer on this show. But my third greatest game is Brazil getting absolutely destroyed. The memes that came out after that, and just like everyone was talking about Brazil getting destroyed, and it was showing people in the crowd, and like they couldn't believe what was going on, and it was Brazil getting destroyed was a great game.
All right, my number 3 is simple. Ole Miss beating Alabama in football this past season. I won't say any more than that. Just
Hotty toddy. Hey, we actually got that one. Hey, all right, so my number 2 game of the last 5 years is Game 6, NBA Finals 2013, Spurs Heat. Fantastic game. Everyone is leaving the stadium in Miami. They're ready to hand the trophy to the Spurs because they're up by like 7 with 50 seconds left to go. And then good old Jesus Shuttlesworth comes on out firing threes, and when he hits that game winner in the corner, and the place just goes nuts with half of the Miami fans that still stayed there. That was a fantastic game.
The bad guys won. You can't pick a game where the bad guy wins.
Yeah, blah blah blah. Go eat one.
All right, number 2, my second greatest game. It's going to be the Bruins and the Toronto Maple Leafs. Got to throw some hockey in there, and that was an awesome game.
my number 2 is the U.S. beating Ghana in the World Cup. As much as you love soccer, I mean, U.S. beat Ghana.
Hey.
Suck it, Ghana.
Yeah. Hate you, Ghana. You don't deserve to play soccer.
And Wesley, you're number 1.
My number 1 game in the last 5 years, and this is really tough to say with my former fandom for the entirety of my childhood, but Auburn beating Alabama 2 years ago in that Iron Bowl.
Bad guys won. Can't count.
Whatever. Just shut up. It was an amazing game. From top to bottom, you have Alabama, and Auburn trading blows at first, and then Alabama pulls away. Auburn starts to catch up a little bit. Alabama bombs this 99-yard touchdown that seems to seal the game away. And then Auburn just does their thing again. And they score a touchdown on a methodical drive. And then Alabama has the opportunity to win the game on the field goal. And we all know what happens next. One of the most improbable, inconceivable plays that ever happened.
You might want to tell them, because you are talking about college football here, and probably like 80% of our viewers watch college football, so you might want to tell them what happens at the end of that game.
The kick 6, the return field goal, which I did say there.
And it did happen in the NFL first, so you're good there.
Well,
they know what a kick 6 is.
A game-winning play.
Just saying, they know what a kick 6
Nobody knows, nobody could ever conceive a play like that ending the Iron Bowl
you can expect
and deciding who goes into the national championship scene, pretty much.
And
because
Auburn
Missouri
lost
was
for
going to
the
be
SEC.
Whatever. It was still a great
football
game.
team.
Phil's a hater. He doesn't like college sports, and he thinks that everything the Ravens do is the best thing to ever happen. Even
Speaking of which, number 1. And I can't believe it once again miraculously just burst away from your guys' memory. But the Ravens and Broncos divisional round is hands down the greatest game ever played in any sport. Let me tell you, okay, first of all, we have a playoff game with everything on the line. All right, we have the glorious comeback play with 15 seconds left on the clock. Then we have overtime, and both teams are punting back and forth, so you don't even get that overtime game where the person who wins the coin toss wins. And then what do you get? You get overtime number 2. And then you get a winner in overtime number 2. This is in the playoffs with everything on the line. Like, I don't understand how that isn't everyone in the entire world's number 1 game.
Because
like,
we're not all Ravens fans.
It doesn't matter. You don't have to be a Ravens fan to know that that is the greatest game. Just like you don't have to watch college sports to know what a kick 6 is.
And my number 1.
Okay.
Best game in the last 5 years is, as I said earlier, the Bruins beating the Maple Leafs with that
In
come
Super
from behind win. The Bruins beating the Maple Leafs in hockey.
Super Bowl.
That was just that moment and everything. The game was superb, and that's the best game in the last 5 years. So now we will move on to our final category of this evening, and that is the top 3 plays of the last 5 years in sports. And I will start off by telling you I honestly don't have an honorable mention for this, so I'll say Deshaun Jackson's punt return to beat the Giants and him trolling the Giants at the end, and Tom Coughlin yelling at his punter, why did he kick it? So
That's my honorable mention, too.
And my honorable mention is DeAndre Jordan murdering Brandon Knight on an amazing dunk that it was just the most ferocious thing I've ever seen in a basketball game. I still can't get over it. I was sure that Brandon Knight was dead after that dunk.
Who dunked it on him?
DeAndre Jordan of the Los Angeles Clippers.
Oh, yeah.
all right, we'll move on to my number 3 play of the last 5 years. And this play overhyped a man who has still not lived up to the hype since he had done this play. And that is Jadeveon Clowney's absolute annihilation of that Michigan running back. I don't even know his name. And
Well,
you
he's
all
dead.
know the
He's not
play.
really.
He smacked him. He grabbed the fumble, picked it up himself. And now you haven't heard of Clowney since. But that play, Clowney smacking the kid from Michigan.
You know, except
three.
for Clowney being the number 1 overall pick.
And he's done nothing since. He did
Because
nothing.
he was injured.
He did nothing the next year at South Carolina.
This is why
He's
you can't
done
count on
nothing
college
in the
sports.
NFL.
Well, he did nothing
He's done
the next year
nothing
in South
since
Carolina
that play.
because he was double teamed and triple teamed on every single
is-
play. Every single play was run the opposite direction of Clowney. Of course, the guy's going to get gassed when he's chasing people all the way
But
across
they're
the
not
field.
running into
And he
the
was
other
the
side in
number 1
Houston.
pick.
College sports.
He was the number 1 pick, and
College
he was no
And he was a
reason he
bust.
doesn't make any noise in Houston yet is because he's been injured his rookie season.
He's a
That's-
He's still a freak athlete.
I didn't say
He's
he
going to
wasn't a
make his
freak
dent.
athlete. I
You
just
said
said
he's made-
he hasn't done anything since that play.
Except
Jamarcus Russell.
become
He's
the-
Jamarcus Russell.
No.
Oh, wait, you're right. Jamarcus Russell actually played a couple of games in his rookie season.
Oh yeah.
All right, my number 2,
That
or
totally
my number
makes him a
3.
bust, even though he hasn't played. a
My
single
number
NFL
3
game yet.
is Odell Beckham Jr.'s touchdown catch. I watched it live, and I honestly thought that he dropped the ball. So my number 3 is definitely Odell Beckham Jr.'s touchdown catch.
All right, Wes, your number 3.
My number 3 play is Carlos Puyol sending in the header late in the game against Germany to send Spain to their first ever World Cup final. It was really a tough fought game between 2 of the greatest soccer teams, really, to, seeing as how Spain dominated the last 4 years and then Germany is now a powerhouse with basically the same guys with a few more youth players thrown in, and that game ending that way was just fantastic. And that play itself with Carlos Puyol getting his head up there and jamming that thing in was pretty awesome, especially with the implications.
All right, my number 2 play of the last 5 years is Odell Beckham Jr.'s touchdown catch. I watched it live with Phil and still have no idea how he caught it, was able to score on it. It was amazing to watch, and it'll definitely win the ESPY for best play this year, hands down. So that's number 2. Phil?
My number 2, and I can't believe that I haven't heard it yet. Jacoby Jones, touchdown catch with 15 seconds left against the Denver Broncos in the divisional round. Wesley is a jerk. Didn't think so. Seriously, just at that one moment, everybody who was watching football, which is 75% of Americans, when only like 25% of them watch college, but 75% of Americans, everyone just lost their breath when that happened, especially when it looked like Raheem Moore might get the ball, but he didn't. And just, I know what you're thinking. That's got number one in the last two categories. What was good enough to beat that? But I got one for you.
All right, Wesley, you're number 2.
My number 2 is Anthony Pettis knocking out Benson Henderson in their first fight on WEC. For those of you not initiated with UFC and Anthony Showtime Pettis, and this particular knockout, it's one of the greatest things I've ever seen, and I still can't explain how this man pulled it off. And I guess I'll just tell you guys how it happened. You have Benson Henderson standing here. He's, in his fighting stance doing whatever. You have Anthony Pettis here. He jumps, kicks off of the cage, and kicks Benson Henderson in the head with absolute accuracy, absolutely destroys him. Best knockout I've ever seen, and it definitely had to be on my list. Long live Showtime.
All right, my number 1 is your Auburn twofer. That Hail Mary that should have never been, so I don't really credit Auburn for that. That was all Georgia's help on that. And then the kick 6 against Alabama. Those 2 plays were probably the best plays I've seen in the last 5 years.
For those of you who don't know, they are talking about college right now.
Phil, you're number 1?
My number 1, hands down, the greatest play in the history of sports. Mark Sanchez takes the snap. He drops back to pass. He doesn't have anybody, so he's going to run forward. Bam! Smacks his own player in the butt. But it gets better. There's more. He fumbles. But wait, there's more. It's picked up by the New England Patriots and taken back for a touchdown. I'm sorry. Now, I've seen a lot of things. But the ESPN Sports Nation worst of the worst had this 1 year run with Mark Sanchez butt fumble as the number 1. And the only reason that it's not there anymore is because they had to take it off because it was never going to lose. It is hands down the greatest play in the history of sports. Also the worst play in the history of sports. And Mark Sanchez will never work another day in his life because of it.
He's the quarterback for the Eagles.
Not anymore.
Number 1.
We don't expect him to be the
My number 1 play in the last 5 years is drum roll. No drum roll.
Plays no soccer or college.
All right, my number 1 play for the last 5 years is the beast mode run in 2011. Marshawn Lynch and the Seattle Seahawks against the New Orleans Saints.
I can appreciate
that. Was the greatest thing I've ever seen, and it still gives me shivers down my spine to watch it to this day. I'm pretty sure Marshawn Lynch broke the tackle of every single New Orleans Saints defender on that run, pushing people into the ground. His speed didn't beat the defense, his brute force did, and there's nothing I appreciate more than that run.
And that is why Pete Carroll did not give him the ball on the 1 yard line to win that Super Bowl easily.
Then we got to see Richard Sherman cry. It was a great day.
But that is our list. We're going to end this episode with a game that Phil, why don't you tell them about?
Okay, what it is called Name 5. And what's going to happen is I have some preordained categories here, and I'll ask each one of them separately, a different category. But basically, I'm going to tell them to name me 5 blanks. And they have 10 seconds to name 5. All right? And when the 10 seconds is up, if they haven't named 5, they lose. If they do name 5 correct answers, then they'll win. So the first one is for Matt. All right. I'm going to start the timer. Matt, the timer will start after I read the question. Name 5 Star Wars characters who aren't Jedis.
Han Solo, Leia, Jar Jar Binks, Anakin Skywalker, the Emperor.
Anakin Skywalker is a Jedi, and so is the Emperor. No.
Well, they're dark.
So Matt fails, but he did get it in at 7 seconds. All right, so Matt fails.
Lando Calrissian.
Well, you're
Yeah,
late
you missed
now.
that one, bud. I got that one in 7 seconds on the ride home earlier.
Yeah,
All
right.
right.
On camera didn't count.
Wesley,
Yes.
Name 5 Bond movies.
5 Bond movies. Quantum of Solace, Casino Royale again. That's 2 different films. Then we have, GoldenEye.
Time! You did not
He
get
could
it.
not do it.
Anyway. Alright. Ready? This one is for Matt. Matt. Name 5 superheroines.
Wonder Woman, Supergirl, She-Hulk.
That's not actually.
She-Hulk. She-Hulk is one of Matt's.
Woman Thor and Woman Thor.
Woman Thor.
Woman Spider-Man. Woman
Woman's the
Hulk.
easy question. Bond movies? Did I get superheroines? What?
Hey, those are ones I did on the ride here.
Superheroines?
Okay. Wesley.
Yes.
Name 5 live-action Disney movies.
Live action. Pirates of the Caribbean. Pirates of the Caribbean 2. Dead Man's Chest. Pirates Caribbean at World's End.
Time! He went down the line. He did not get it.
No,
I got
I
one
didn't.
more for Matt.
I'm terrible.
Okay. Let me think of a good one here, folks. Okay. Matt.
Yes.
Name 5 Baltimore Ravens quarterbacks.
Joe Flacco, Anthony Wright, Kyle Bowler, Elvis Gerback, Trent Dilfer.
Got it!
Boom!
In 6 seconds. Matt
What?
is the only one who gets one today.
How come he got to do 3 and I only get to do 2?
I'll do one more for you.
Thank you. It's only fair.
Okay. Alright. Name 5 first round, first pick in the draft.
Okay, let's see. We've got Jamarcus Russell. We've got Eli Manning. We've got, oh crap, I'm drawing up. Jadeveon Clowney, Mario Williams.
Time!
Oh!
So Wesley does not get his last. And that is how you play Name 5. Matt got 1 out of 3. Wesley got 0 out of 3. This is something that we'll play at the end of each show. So just a little something to look forward to before we move on to the next week.
All right, this was our episode. We'd like to thank our special guest, Wesley Bertram.
Yes, thank you
For
for
joining.
watching the Wesley Show featuring the Milner brothers.
If you'd like to see Wesley back, go watch a college game or something.
And that is all for this show here. We thank you for watching and stay tuned for our next episode.